Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Thanks for joining me today. My name is Angela. I am a full time voiceover artist and audiobook narrator. And my channel here, I dedicate to you, all of you getting started out in this wonderful world of voiceover and audiobook narration. And through my channel, I share with you some techniques and tips and tricks that I use every day in my own voiceover business. And I answer your questions in weekly Q&As just like this. So again, thank you everyone for joining. I appreciate you being here. If you have a question, a comment, please leave it in the chat and I will see it and address it if it's a question. If you're not new here, well, I guess it still applies if you are new here. Every week we have a poll question. And this week, the poll question is, when it comes to editing, do you prefer the click, clap, snap method, meaning you make a mark, like a sharp mark where you make a mistake? Or do you prefer the punch and roll method, which is where you actually stop the recording, go back to where you made the mistake and re-record over it? So you're essentially editing as you go along. And so far, let me just take a look here at what we got. We have 17 votes so far. And it looks like 76% of you say the clicker, snap, clap method, which is what I use. 18% of you use the punch and roll method, and 6% said, I don't know what these are. And I leave those options because when you're just starting out, you don't know what the heck people are talking about sometimes, and that's okay. And that's what these lives are for, right? Is to answer some of these questions and help you kind of get rolling, right? So again, the clicker method is, when I say clicker, I mean like a dog clicker. That's essentially what this is. And you can get these for a couple of bucks on Amazon. Or if you don't want to spend any money at all, it's essentially free just to snap your fingers. Some people clap twice just to make a mark in the recording. And the other method is punch and roll, which has been used for, I would say there's a good even split. Apparently not according to the poll, but there's a good even split of people using either the clicker method or the punch and roll method. And a lot of DAWs, I know Adobe Audition for certain, and I don't know about Audacity. If you know if Audacity has a punch and roll feature, actually, now that I say it out loud, I think it might. But I know that some of the DAWs, anyway, to be fair, have a punch and roll recording method where you can enable the punch and roll feature. And then as you're recording, stop the recording and then hit record again when you make a mistake, right? You stop the recording and then you hit record again and it goes back to whatever time period you select, 10 seconds, 5 seconds, 3 seconds. So you can hear the tone of what you were just recording and then pick up where you left off. I'm not coordinated enough for the punch and roll. I'm just going to be honest and real with you. I think there's a subtlety to using it. I hear some people have issues with the punch and roll method because it either doesn't start recording or they start speaking at the wrong time. So you essentially you still have two takes. You have the mistake or a partial bit of the mistake left in the recording, and then you have the recording, the new recording, the retake in there as well. So you still have to go back and edit out the boo-boos. I would imagine, just like anything else, with a lot of practice, you can get good at it. But for me, I don't want to have to worry about all of that and matching things up perfectly. I'm just neurotic that way, I suppose. But the clicker method for me, just to mark the mistake and move on, I find that with the clicker method, and sometimes words get jumbled in my mouth, so I usually have more than one retake. If I don't like the way it sounds, I can say it again, click it, say it again. So when I go back through and edit, I'm looking for mouth noise, I'm looking for breaths, I'm looking for anything that shouldn't be there in post. And at the same time, I'm removing the retakes, but listening through all of my takes. So, and I've had this happen quite a few times where, excuse me, the second take sounds better than the final take. So I'll use the second take instead of the final take. So there really isn't a right way or a wrong way. It's whichever way that you're most comfortable going. It's the way that you, for your own process, is right or feels right or is easiest or is quickest, right? Because the idea is that you want to get through, you want to streamline your process as much as possible. So whichever's better for you is the way that you should go. We got a lot of comments in here. So I'm going to jump on over to the comments. Let's see what we got. Holy Moses. Robert is here. Good morning, Robert. I'm not going to share your comment. You need to behave yourself. I'm going to go to Evil Leprechaun. They say, my only problem so far with the clicker is I can hear it if I move it around in my hands without realizing. Yeah, I've done that too, where I have it in my hand. And as you're moving it around, it does make a little bit of noise. And especially if the clicker is about to die, if you've clicked it, its last click or close to its last click, the little button in here will move around a little bit. It'll become detached and make noise. So I get it. But I just try to firmly hold it in my hand and not move, right? I have my finger over the button and I'm just ready to click at a mistake's notice. But yeah, I've done that too sometimes where I drop it or it falls into my lap and then I get it. I get it. Brittany Beck is here. Good morning, Brittany. Thank you for joining. Sally is here. Good morning, Sally. Good morning, Angela. Looking mighty nice in Pensacola, Florida today. Thank you for going live. Well, thank you for joining. And I'm glad that things are looking a little bit nicer around the world in terms of it's getting pretty hot. It was getting pretty hot around the world. David is here. Hi, lady. Hello, David. JJJ is here. Hello, JJJ. Hi. Saw you in Anthony's Friday, Fiverr Friday. I saw actually a lot of people I recognized in there. That's great. Anthony's got some great stuff. James Park is here. Good morning. I actually use both clicker and punch and roll. Clicker for short stuff, punch and roll for long form narration. And that's okay too. If you're one of the people that is coordinated enough, unlike myself, that you can do both and both works for you, then great. Do it. I say whatever works for you best, right? Robert says, Scordaluit LCT 440 pure, great sound. I'm glad you like it. Used off eBay. That's awesome. I always tell people when they ask me about a microphone recommendation and they say, well, I can't afford that, you can always go secondhand. There's a specific Facebook marketplace. I know of one for certain. I think it's VO Gear something. Starts with a T. I can't think of the word. Where you can essentially list and buy used voiceover gear. And I'm sure there's more than that. Plus there's eBay, there's Craigslist, there's OfferUp, there's Macari. There's all of the apps where you can list and buy used items. Even Sweetwater.com has a used gear section. The only thing to keep in mind if you're buying secondhand is to ask a lot of questions. Ask a lot of questions about the item that you're about to buy because you're essentially buying it from a picture. And you don't really know it. And you're going by their word. Whoever listed it, you're going by their word and a picture that they submitted. So, I mean, I'm always a little bit leery, but that's, again, my neuroses. Buying stuff secondhand offline, I would rather go in someplace and touch it, test it if I can, make sure that it's not broken, it doesn't rattle when you shake it. You could go into a musical store. They probably have some used gear in there, some pawn shops even, although those are a little iffy. But I'm going on a tangent again. But long story short, secondhand is definitely a way that you can go in buying used gear. Diane is here. Hello. Hello, Diane. The Jazzy Jasmine. Good morning from sunny San Diego, California. San Diego. JJJ is from Indianapolis. Well, hello. Uh, from Saskatchewan? Regina, Saskatchewan. Did I say that right? It's still early for me. My mouth doesn't work so early. I haven't started narrating yet. Rebecca Stinks. I love that username. It's just so funny. Hi, good morning from San Jose, California. Is there a reason why you choose a dynamic shotgun mic over a cardioid one? Just curious to what your thoughts are. I chose this particular mic because I have the logistically where my studio is on the ground floor of my house. So I have people walking by, excuse me, outside. I have a playground literally 15 feet outside of my studio. My unit here is right kitty corner to a playground. And I have neighbors, right? Because I live like in a townhome. I have one shared wall, and sometimes they're stomping up and down the stairs. There's a dog next door that barks on the balcony. I chose this particular mic because I have noise. I have lots of varying types of noises that I experience throughout the course of the day and night when I'm recording. So the shotgun mic is definitely going to help reduce other ambient noises in your studio, because the way that it's designed is that it picks up exactly what's in front of it. Unlike some other microphones where you have like a heart-shaped pattern, it'll pick up a little bit over here and a little bit over here, and it just has a wider pickup pattern, right? Whereas the shotgun picks up exactly what's in front of it, therefore reducing other noises. So it only picks up my voice. My voice is its target. It's laser focused on my mouth and what comes out of it. So it's a better choice for me in my space. But your space might not be as noisy as mine. You might be just fine if you have a whisper room or a booth or something, and you're in a faraway place. I'm still holding my clicker. If you're far enough away from outside noises and things like that, then a microphone with a larger pickup pattern, like a cardioid, would be fine. Although some of them you can change the pickup patterns too. You can choose, there's usually two to maybe four, three different pickup patterns on a mic. So you can usually change that pickup pattern too on a microphone. But that is why I chose the shotgun mic. Plus it sounds good for voiceover. I've really liked this mic. I like the way that it sounds. I have a deeper voice too. I think it brings out some of the richness of my low tones, I guess. So a few reasons, I guess. Brittany says, I want to try lunch and I'm assuming that's punch and roll at some point, but my space wasn't set up well for it. Yeah, you have to be able to have some way of stopping the recording where you are with punch and roll. Either have to have a a mouse or a keyboard or both, so you can stop the recording and then enable the punch and roll feature and go back and record. But if you're just in your space, if your microphone is completely separate and your keyboard, mouse, everything is completely away from you and you can't see it or reach it, then the clicker method might be a better method for you because you don't have a way to stop the recording and go back and enable that punch and roll feature. So yeah, I get that too. That's another reason, I think. Diane says, I need another answer option. I'm not sure yet. I have yet to record something that long trying both methods. I even thought about adding that option for the poll is I'm not sure or undecided or both, but I just wanted to see what people would say. Brittany says, haha, whoops, lunch and roll. That sounds nice too. It does. It does. It's still breakfast time for me, although I probably won't eat till lunch anyway. But I'm getting hungry already. I don't know if I'm going to make it to lunch. JCCAOL says, the clicker is worth its weight in gold. Such a great suggestion from the very best. I'm froggy. Why am I so froggy? Is VoiceOver Van Deen here? Oh, you know what? That reminds me. I'm always on the lookout for new stuff that's going to help. with the frogginess because as some of you know, we've talked about this a few times that I had COVID like 2 years ago, and ever since then I've had just chronic sinus issues. So I have like this drip thing that just screws up my voice and makes me clear my throat a lot. So I'm going to try these Vocal Zone honey and lemon. These are, I think they come in a few different flavors, if I can speak. But they're supposed to help soothe throat irritation and dryness, which may occur if you've been talking, singing, or smoking excessively, or if you have a cold. So these just arrived yesterday, so I'm going to try these today. And you're supposed to just let them dissolve in your mouth. I don't know. So I'll have to let you guys know how it goes with those. But I've seen other voice artists use them and recommend them, so we'll see. True Crime with VO Max. I like that name. Whisper Room versus Studio Blocks. Oh, Studio Bricks, perhaps? You know, if I had the room in my house for a booth, I think I might go the Studio Bricks route. Because I like the way they look. I mean, as far as spec-wise, the VO Edition Studio Bricks booth, I think, is quite comparable to some of the other double-walled Whisper Rooms, and I think they're comparable also in size or, like, in footprint size. But I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's been a while since I've looked, but the Studio Bricks are a little bit less expensive. I could be wrong, but please double-check me. But the Studio Bricks are like, it's like a big, Lego structure. It is constructed by multiple pieces, whereas the Whisper Room can also be deconstructed if you need to move it, but it'll, of course, be in big, heavy panels. Although if you're not good at Legos, and the Studio Bricks might not be a good option too, but again, tangent. So I think to answer your question, if I had to choose and if I had the room here in my house for one, I would probably go the Studio Bricks route, the VO Edition booth. I think it looks cooler. So for me, that's a pro. Masonry construction. The dog clicker makes a much more obvious mark on my Reaper dot. It does. It does. Goodness. I'm so sorry, guys. I think if you clap twice versus the clicker method, you know what? Let's try it. Let's do a little experiment. Let's go over to my Adobe Audition and let's just try recording something. Now, my door is open, the computer is running behind me, so it's going to look a little bit noisy, but who cares, right? All right, so let's first try the clicker method. That's pretty noticeable, right? And let's try the clap. That looks pretty good too. I think both of these are fairly noticeable. The clap is a little bit fatter and probably a little easier to not miss, although the clicker method is too. So I think either one of these would be good. If you don't want to go out and find yourself a clicker, looks like the clap would work just fine. Let's try a snap. Yeah, so you would probably have to do it twice. Otherwise, it could be easily confused as mouth noise, I think. The clucking of the tongue is a little bit messier if you have a wet mouth. I think I just flicked spit everywhere. But I think, yeah, I think any one of those would work apart from, what was this? This was the snap, right? I don't know if that would work as well. But the clucking of the tongue, the clapping, and the clicker look like they would all work really well. So I think any one of those would probably do the job. I've never done that test before. That was pretty interesting. Diane says, yes, Audacity has a built-in punch and roll feature. I thought I heard that they added that a while back. That's pretty cool. I'm glad that they did that. And then she says, I'm probably going to use the clicker since I have one anyway from when I was a dog obedience trainer. Well, that would definitely help. I bet you have a bag of them somewhere. Although I have heard, speaking of which, if you do have a dog in your house that was trained via the dog clicker, that might be a problem. Your dog may come running every time you make a mistake or expect a treat every time you make a mistake. So keep that in mind. Ben says, Reaper makes it pretty easy to punch and roll. Cool. So Audition, Reaper, and Audacity so far have a punch and roll feature, right? Did I read that? Did I misunderstand that? Does Reaper actually have a punch and roll feature, like built into the DAW? Diane says, I'll be playing with this today as I record some longer tests in preparation for recording my first demo now that my sound floor issue is fixed. That's awesome. You have to let us know how it goes with your first demo. James says, agreed. You're going to be playing with this today? That's awesome. Louie says, what's up? What's up? What's up? Angela in the house, you're awesome. How can someone get into sound effects for film or television? I swear if you say Google search, I'm done with it. I think okay. Google can be your friend. I think having an agent is definitely going to help. I think reaching out and making connections with some of these people who make this sort of content, just like any other type of voiceover, you know, type is pretty much the same. Having an agent, going out and finding these people, the video production companies, indie film producers, um, like um, like other like video studios. There's all kinds of different like keywords that you can use. If you go onto like maybe LinkedIn or a place like that and made connections with some of these people and discovered who the person is that you need to speak with, the talent director or the marketing manager. I mean, there's probably a few different names that you could look into or perhaps make a connection and ask them, hey, who do I need to talk to perhaps maybe get on the roster? Or are you looking for any new talent? There isn't just an easy button for this stuff, unfortunately. You do have to put your, hop in the mystery van, grab Scooby-Doo and start digging, and start to find some of these places that will take new talent or accept a demo or have room on their roster. It's just a matter of going out and finding these people. Having an agent or agents, of course, is going to help as well because they will help you to find this sort of thing. Pay-to-play platforms, there's this kind of stuff all day on them. Voices.com, Voice123. This sort of stuff is on them every day. But there's a few ways to go about it. And I actually didn't say Google search. Although you could Google search and find these companies, hit that contact button and ask that way too. Research. Scooby-Doo. Diane says, my clicker is an old school one, no button to die, easy to get at any pet supply store. That's awesome. So there's no button. So is this one of the ones that just has the flexible, it's like one whole piece and it has a flexible piece that just sort of makes a click noise? I think I know what you're talking about. VoiceOver Van Deen says, a dog clicker with a finger strap is the bomb. A finger strap? Seriously? Finger snapping stresses your joints sideways, and repetition of this never struck me as a good idea. That's probably a good point. It's a very good point, actually, especially if if you're developing arthritis in your fingers or your joints. I actually have arthritis in this wrist because I broke it when I was real little and it didn't heal right. So if you have hand, arm, carpal tunnel, I mean, there's all sorts of hand and arm joint muscle tendon sort of issues, tendonitis. A clicker might be an easier way to make that noise too, unless you just want to go the punch and roll method. So there's a lot of things to consider when choosing the method, but I say try them both and just see which one is easier for you. JJJ says, FYI, visiting the Sweetwater Store showroom in Fort Wayne, Indiana is amazing. I would love to see that. I would love to see that. Definitely recommend. It's like a candy store for gearheads and musicians. I bet it is. I bet it is. And I wouldn't mind meeting my sales manager. I have Nick. He's awesome. Louie, how did I not see that? Thank you so much for the super chat. Good golly. Sorry if I was on a tangent and missed that, but thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. It would be great to hear original horror stories from you on audio. Might suit your style. I like that. Watch out, Anne Rice. Ooh, what do you say? Am I the only one here that thinks so? If I could get a word out without bleh, it'd probably be good. I'm a huge Anne Rice fan. I have like a shrine. I have a whole bookshelf dedicated to Anne Rice. I think that would be great. Although original audio, original horror stories, I think I haven't written stories since high school. So I don't know if I would be good or even have the time, honestly, to write stories, although I think I would enjoy it. I like that though. Thank you, Louie. We'll see. Robert Palmore says, Regina, would you stop it? Good God. James Park says, okay, you two, I'm going to turn this live stream right around and go home. I'm going to put you two in separate corners. Behave yourselves. Tiffany's 80s dream. For a beginner who doesn't have any equipment, do you believe I could still make a portfolio of work for myself? I haven't had clients yet, so I was seeing if I could create samples. Absolutely. You will need equipment to record these samples, but I did myself. I made my own first demo. I know a lot of other people who have, because professional demos can cost quite a bit of money. Depending on the skill level and knowledge base and accolades, perhaps maybe that the voiceover that is offering the professional demo service has. Professional demos can cost a few $100s to a few $1,000s. So making your own I think, is completely normal and appropriate in the beginning, because the thing with professional demos, if you're also not in a place where you have the training, the confidence, the experience to produce the same type of quality content that is reflected in your professional demo on your own in your own studio, then that could be a problem. For example, if you have a professional demo made and you were coached through the entire professional demo, right? You were working with somebody one-on-one via Zoom or Skype, and they're coaching you through to give this performance. And then that person making the demo takes those recordings, adds sound effects and music, and completely makes your recording sound 150%, fantastic. And then you show that to clients. The client is going to expect that kind of quality from you. And if you can't replicate, aside from the music, aside from the sound effects, but if you can't replicate that delivery, that performance, that recording, that audio quality on your own, that could be a huge problem. So there's nothing wrong in the beginning with making your own demos. I've done it. I know a lot of other people that have, and then refresh them as you get better, as you learn new techniques and dial in your audio, your space recording quality, right? So do it. But you do need equipment to do that. But yeah, you could. And those samples could come from, you could have someone write scripts for you on Fiverr, Upwork, any of those freelance sites. You could write your own scripts. For audiobooks, you could use the book on your shelf, the book on your desk that, one of the 5 or 6 books that you have that you're in the middle of reading at the moment. Just grab one of those, especially for ACX. They tell you that you can do this. Just grab a couple of books off your shelf, record them, and then, upload them as samples. And if the rights holder has an issue with that, then they'll remove it. So But don't let not having clients or work that you've already done stop you from making samples. Get creative. Right, Kirk? Hi, Kirk. Hello, darling. Good morning. Indeed, PNR does require some finesse. Every time, it's like seeing Morgan Freeman's face. You want to speak in his voice, right? When I see your name and indeed, I always want to say it like you do. Indeed. You have an awesome voice, Kirk. I love you. PNR does require some finesse. If folks are getting some of the bad, if folks are getting some of the bad take included in the new, that's what I was talking about earlier, the entry point isn't being set properly. It's a very good point. And that is something that you probably also need to investigate, research, practice, trial, test it. So ain't nobody got time for that. If you do, that's great. But I just don't have the patience, I think. And I'm just so used to using the clicker now. I don't know if I could go back to trying punch and roll. Diane says, which shotgun mic do you have? Asking since it was brought up. This is a Sennheiser MKH 416. There is a Sennheiser 416. I don't want to use the word duplicate, but it's or clone perhaps. There is a mic from Synco. It's a Synco D2, I believe. It's on my website actually under the VO Gear tab. That's where I have all the recommendations for mics and interfaces and headphones and stuff. And it's on there, and it's a Synco D2, and it's supposedly sounds just like the 416 at a fraction of the cost, like a fourth of the cost of the Sennheiser. Just thought I would be remiss if I didn't mention that. Andy B says, just checking in. Hello, Andy B. Thanks for joining. Renee Thompson says, hello. When you do a retake using the clicker, is it easier retake immediately, or do you finish reading the entire copy and then return to fix the mistakes? I use the clicker if I make a mistake. There's typically a spot in the reading where I can go back to. Sometimes I have to redo the whole sentence, which isn't a bad idea anyway, so it sounds more fluid. So you're not trying to splice a couple of words together mid-sentence. If I make a mistake, I'll click the clicker, go back to the start of the sentence, reread the sentence, and then finish the entire recording. I'll finish the entire copy. And once it's done, I'll apply my rack, a little bit of noise reduction, a little bit of mouth noise reduction, right? And then once that's done, I'll go through the entire file, remove my mistakes, remove any wayward, loud mouth noises that made it through, and then normalize it to -3 dB and send it on its way. So that way, when I'm editing the entire file in post, I have a couple different takes to choose from. I can see any mouth noise that, escaped the plugin. So there's, I guess, a few reasons why I do it this way instead of just doing punch and roll. That way, because I want to see everything one last time before I send it off, just to make sure that nothing made it through that shouldn't be there, including the retakes, of course. Does that make sense? I sort of got derailed a little bit there. Let's hop on over to the poll really quick. And again, the poll today, and we've been talking about it most of this session anyway so far, but today's poll is, when it comes to editing, do you prefer the clicker method, the clicker, clap, snap method, marking a mistake and then coming back to it later, or the punch and roll method, where you stop the recording right then and there when you make a mistake and then re-record it? So we have 36 votes so far, and it looks like the vast majority of you do the clicker, snap, clap method, which is 65% of you now. And then 19% of you do the punch and roll method, and then 16% of you said, I don't know what these are. And I'm hoping that throughout this session, I have sort of mostly answered that question for you, describing what punch and roll is and what the clicker method are. If you have any further questions about either of these methods that we haven't been clear on so far, please feel free to ask, and we'll see if we can get it figured out for you. Where did I leave off? Here we are. Diane, tea time for me here. Nice. It's coffee time. Although for me, coffee time is all day. All day. Robert says, for lunch, I'm having rice with kielbasa cooked with the rice. That sounds good. What kind of rice? White rice? Or like, you know what I love? I love beans and rice. Does that make me weird? Like dirty rice? Red beans and rice? Jasmine rice? The ultimate rice dish, and I'm going off on a complete tangent, and I know. My favorite food of all time, my favorite dish of all time is paella. I spent a year in Spain and absolutely fell in love with paella. Love it. Love it. Okay, I'm done. Diane says, I was froggy this morning too. That's why I didn't get my first demo recorded. It cleared up when I ate breakfast. I felt it clear as I ate my orange. Sinus issues here too. Citrus is very good for nose and throat. Is that what I meant to say? I think you know what I mean. Citrus is good for that. Honey too. Honey is good for soothing the throat. But that's a good idea. I need to get more oranges in this house. I need some citrus. You brought the frog with you, didn't you? Yep, I'm here. Sorry, Mr. Frog arrived just as I did. You need to keep him at home. Okay, I just saw this pop up. Hang on, I'm looking. Louie, did you just... Thank you. This time I saw it. Louie, thank you so much for the super chat. I really appreciate that. Mystery van sounds cool, but I'd rather use the portal gun from Rick and Morty. Great advice. Please try at least one 15-minute story. I know you'll be great. I just know it. I appreciate the encouragement. I really do. And you're really sparking that creative. You're getting the creative juices going. I think that would be a great idea. If I can find the time to maybe even find one of the old stories that I wrote, because I wrote a few like horror stories back in high school that I think they were pretty good. If I can find those, maybe I can put them to audio and put them in my Just for Fun playlist on my channel, perhaps. But thank you for that. I really appreciate your encouragement in that respect. Now where did I leave off? Holy Moses. Holy Moses. Hold on. Oh my gosh. There's so many comments. Hold on. I'm trying to find. Okay. Here we are. Okay. Robert Palmore says, there is a drawback to using a neti pot. You can now smell what you've been missing before. True. Although, along with the sinus issues that came from having COVID 2 years ago, I also had like this intermittent, like phantom smell that smelled like something burning, which was weird. Because at first I was like, I would run around the house looking for something on fire, right? But then I soon discovered after it continued, like every couple days it would come about. It has definitely waned quite a bit in the last year, perhaps. But yeah, if there's something going on that you haven't smelled before, having the neti pot and then clearing all that out and then having the smell could be a bad thing for sure. JJJ says, yeah, same here. I've been hearing this underlying graveliness in my recordings. Constant sinus drip. Seeing an ear, throat, and nose doctor next week. That's a great idea. I should probably do that. Although I'm one of those that don't like to go to the doctor unless I absolutely have to. So I try to, I hate to use the word medicate, but I try to fix the issue with like homeopathic medicines as best I can, or just natural stuff. I don't want to use like antibiotics and stuff like that if I don't have to. I'm trying to use the most natural stuff. I'm not like a crunchy person, but I just think it's better suited for our bodies than filling it with a bunch of medication. Although there is some medication that I have to take because I had cancer. 13 years ago. So, I mean, it is what it is, but I don't want to take medicines if I don't have to. But there is some stuff that works relatively well for sinus drip. That's natural. Robert Palmore says, honestly, more drywall, more drywall on the room you have would probably be cheaper and better than the microphone. You mean than having a shotgun mic? Perhaps, although I think if that's what you're referring to, we weren't planning on staying here very long, but with house, how prices the way they are for buying a new house, we're staying here for a little while. So I'm just going to stick with what I have, and because it works. It took a while to make it work, but it works. So if it ain't broke, right? Don't fix it. Diane says, a dog clicker would be worth the investment. They're cheap and easy to find anywhere pet supplies are sold. Yeah. And if you one of those people that don't like to leave the house, you can get them on Amazon. I think most of the pet supply stores will actually ship things to you with the, COVID. Just about everybody has an online store now. So dog clickers are very easy to get. I think on Amazon, I got both of these. I got 2 for like $3 or $4, something like that. And they last a while. I've only had one die out on me so far in the last 4 years. Amazon has them too. Yeah. James says, no, you need to set up Reaper's PNR. So, okay, so it's not like a feature in Reaper. You actually have to just, like an Audition, there is a button for like a punch and roll feature, but automatically once you hit it, it goes back to whatever time you predetermined. So does Reaper not have that, but you just have to stop and then go back and then re-record? It's like a manual process. Robert says, Diana, how do you fix your sound floor problem? Carpeting? Carpeting, having no hard surfaces in your room is definitely going to help with reverb and also dampening some of the ambient noise in your room, for sure. Oh, is that what you were talking about earlier about the drywall? Okay. JJJ says, also for long sessions, now sports beta-alanine, God, I can't see, could help with anyone struggling with breath. It was a lifesaver when I ran my first 5K and 10K. Beta-alanine? Am I saying that right? Beta-alanine? Struggling with breath. Like if you're having a hard time breathing, like instead of using a humidifier sort of a thing to kind of, we have to look that up. Hold on, note taking. Alanine. Thank you for that. John Popovich says, good morning, Angela. Good morning, John. I used to just use the clicking of my tongue, but the dog clicker definitely keeps things more dry. LOL. Thank you for all you do and the great info. That's another good point about the clicker. If you're clucking your tongue, you're probably going to get more mouth noise or spit all over everything like I did earlier. So yeah, the dog clicker might work in that respect too. I can see that. Diane says, by the way, I tried Bragg's ACV in my afternoon tea yesterday afternoon for weight loss and found that last night, for the first time in ages, my sinuses were clear. Still better today. What is that? Bragg's ACV. Hold on. You guys are amazing. I will try anything at this point. I refuse to make it the norm and have it an everyday battle. Bragg's ACV. So weight loss and clear sinuses. I'm down. Diane says, yes, it's one of those clickers with the thin metal flexible piece. Oh, yeah. I think what these essentially are, except they just have like a raised button. Yeah, whatever works. I mean, if they're easy to get and cheap, yeah. True crime with VO Max. Just curious, Angela, how is your booth set up? Are you using blankets, etc.? I'm looking into Studio Bricks, and here in Spain, it's not. Yeah, okay. So they're actually located in Spain, right? Studio Bricks is a Spanish company, right? If I'm correct. I'm pretty sure that I saw that. So maybe studio bricks are more expensive than whisper rooms. I don't remember exactly. I remember I did this research maybe even over a year ago, now that I'm thinking about it. But to answer your question, my booth is mainly moving blankets, like they're thick, padded. They're meant for putting over furniture if you're moving from place to place so the furniture doesn't get damaged. They're fairly thick and they cover all my walls, my ceiling, most of my door. And those, where I ran out of blankets, I'm using acoustic foam, the little wedges. I used to have them behind me. I think you can see a piece of one under here. There's a little bit of some under this blanket here, this acoustic foam that's like the little wedges. And they come in like 8 egg crate kind of a pattern or like lines. You can get them on Amazon fairly inexpensively. I think you can get a couple dozen for maybe 20, $30. But essentially what you want to keep in mind when you're setting up your studio space is to eliminate the hard surfaces. So you want to pad them with either acoustic foam or moving blankets, towels, blankets, whatever you can find. But also don't forget that your ceiling needs to be treated. Your floor, if you have hardwood floors or concrete floors, that's also going to reflect voice and cause that ambient noise that you don't want, which is going to increase your noise floor. Your desk surface, don't neglect your desk surface. That's also going to reflect. Some monitors, if they're glass, may also reflect. So there's a lot of things to consider in your studio space. But for me, because this is like a 5x6 room, so it's essentially the size of a booth, right? Of like a whisper room or a Studio Bricks booth. So I had to treat it with moving blankets to eliminate the reverb and kind of the dead sound that was in here. It sounded very tinny when I came in here initially. But I would love to have a Studio Bricks. I'm a little jelly. And if you live in Spain, I'm very jelly. Where about in Spain? I lived in Valencia for about a year, visited Barcelona and Ibiza. Where do you live? I love Spain. I'd love to retire there. Sarah says, just found your channel, thinking of getting into voiceovers. I think you should try. Sarah. And thank you for watching. Welcome. Alfonso says, do you have any books you recommend on voice exercises? What kind of vocal workouts do you do? You could really make your own vocal exercises. You could do some trills, like that sort of a thing. Stretch your mouth out wide. Move your whole body around. You don't have to just warm up your face. You can warm up your whole body. But there is a book, and I've brought this one up a few times. I have this also on my VO Gear for recommended stuff. This book, this voiceover voice actor book is pretty good. And they actually have a whole section on warm-ups, like tongue twisters and things of that nature. This has been a very interesting book. What to do with your demo, networking, follow-up, union or non-union, animation scripts and practices. I mean, there's all kinds of great stuff in this book. And I recommend this one for new voice actors and veterans alike. There's a lot of, I'm always of the mind of soaking in all the information that I can find and then making my own decisions on what I want to do with my own business, right? So I never just poo-poo anything. I'll take it in, file it away, and may be of use at some point. So reading multiple types of books and listening to multiple types of voiceover artists on YouTube channels, and my stomach just growled. I hope you guys didn't hear that. But there's a lot of great information out there. So just soak it all in and make your own decisions. But to answer your question, I do, I'll take the first script of the day and read it multiple times and read it in different pitches, volumes. I'll just use that as something that I can read from. But doing tongue twisters and trills and, stretching out your mouth and your tongue is definitely going to be helpful. MJ Rod said, no, it's legit. Regina, Saskatchewan is pronounced Regina. Regina. Take it from the Canadian. You guys. Oh, is that what you were talking about earlier? I thought you guys were being naughty. My bad. James says, "Thanks, MJ. That's what I was trying to say. I wasn't being naughty." Okay, I'll take it back. All right. I know a couple of you tend to go that direction. So I'm sorry that I assumed. Thank you for the clarification. Masonry Construction says, next week's poll question, should all comments on your chat be allowed, even off color? It's getting old. YouTube has a filter on it that I still don't quite completely understand how it filters. Like there isn't a specific like word choice that I tell it to use. It just sort of picks up on its own things that it thinks might be off color. So it's hard for the filter to catch them all, and some do get through. And I probably need to get into the habit of skimming through the comment before I highlight it on the screen too. But just keep in mind, everybody that's here, this is a family show. There are voice artists who watch my channel with their children. So please, let's keep it PG-13, I think, at best. Thank you. Diane says, I'm going to have to do my own demos. Getting a professional one done isn't in my budget. Yeah, I did. I made my own. Louie, did you just put another? You did. Feel better soon on behalf of the VoiceOverAngela community. Louie, you are amazing. Thank you so much. I think, actually, what we need to do for Louie is to oh, did I not upload it? Oh, I had a thank you overlay, but I think oh, you know what it was? I made a thank you overlay, but it was it was the wrong size. I think it was too big or too small. Darn it. Man, I wanted to use all this cool stuff that I upload and make for this live stream. Oh my gosh. Okay. And I lost my place again. Hold on. Hold, please. Okay, here we are. Diane says, good to know that I don't have to worry about finding public domain books, that I can read the ones on my shelf. You can, and you can always use the ones in the public domain too. I did. I'm always one of those people who tends to err on the side of caution. I don't want to step on anybody's toes if I don't have to. So reading or using books in the public domain was one of the things that I did a lot. JCCAOL says, I would love to hear you record the book Mrs. Poe by Lynn Cullen. And since the main character is Frances Osgood, I think it would be perfect for the book. Mrs. Poe. Yes, I'm going to write it down. Mrs. Poe, Lynn Cullen. I'm going to check that out. Thank you, guys. My stomach's growling. Just not good. I have tried both punch and roll and make a click noise with my tongue. I am undecided. Yeah, you just have to try them both, and whichever one is easier, faster, whichever one streamlines or works best in the streamlining of your process, right? Whichever one you feel that you're faster at and can do quicker, I think is going to be one that you need to choose. Although clicking with your tongue, in my case anyway, makes a mess. James says, here's a link to some free scripts is what I use for my demos. I thank you for doing that, but I think YouTube filters out anything with links in the chat. I think you can in the comments, though. If you go down underneath the video itself in the comments, I think you can link stuff there. If you want to put it there, that would be fabulous help to some of the new voice artists. Diane says, yes, I saw the Zinco on review and compared it with the Sennheiser on Booth Junkie. Couldn't tell the difference between them and a much lower price point. I think that's where I originally heard it too, was on Booth Junkie. He was doing a review, a comparison between the Sennheiser 416 and the Zinco D2. I think that's where I heard it too. And it sounded very, very close. Very, very close. And it's a fraction of the cost. Don Robertson says, thank you for the great content. My question, when networking and marketing, who is a voice talent's ideal client? Second, do you have advice for marketing on LinkedIn while having a full-time 9 to 5? Um, networking and marketing, who is a voice talent's ideal client is every business, every individual, because voiceovers are very, very universal in terms of who your target client is. Once you have an idea of what kind of voiceovers you want to do or what you find that you're more skilled at, for example, if it's telephony, like phone messages, or if it's more like e-learning course, training course tutorials, audiobooks, commercial reads. There's all kinds of different types of voiceovers, and you'll find that you usually gravitate, or your clients will typically hire you more for one particular type versus another. To find any of those clients is going to be individuals, small businesses, large businesses, and marketing out in general is a good start. But once you start to develop a niche or a market, um, or a section of the market that tends to purchase a certain type of voiceover from you more, I hope this is making sense, then you can use that as your target market and then um, create content on social media or emails and then directly market or make that content for that specific audience via email direct marketing or social media content. And then make sure that your hashtags and all of that stuff for social media are appropriate for that specific market. For LinkedIn, that is not as difficult as you would think to do being employed full time. I did it. A lot of people do it because it's not like a constant sit on it and watch it for reviews and responses, not reviews, responses and connection requests and that sort of a thing. It's in your spare time. Search out some of the companies once you have a niche. Search out some of the companies that do this sort of a thing, make some connections, contact them and ask them if they have room on their roster, if they're looking for new talent. Maybe you need to connect directly with their talent director or whomever it is. It's not a very easy thing to explain, but it's just a matter of finding the right person to contact or the right people, the right businesses. But in reality, I mean, every individual could have a voicemail message. Every individual could have social media content that they need a voice for. I mean, the usage for voiceover is so broad. If you think about it, you just sit and think about everything that you hear and see that has a voice on it for some purpose or another, that's a voice actor. So there's a huge use range for voiceovers. So being on a pay-to-play platform like voices.com, Voice123, Fiverr, Upwork, wherever you want to put your services as a voice actor is not a bad idea either. The Jazzy Jasmine says, need advice, please. I'm getting ready to build my booth. I want walls, insulation, etc., that will be able to be dismantled in case I move. How do I go about finding someone to help me build my booth? There are actually quite a few YouTube videos that walk you through step by step in building a voiceover booth. There is what we lovingly call a hobo fort, which is essentially PVC and moving blankets, although it's good for dampening the reverb and making your voice not sound so lost in a large room. But it's not necessarily good for noise reduction because it's just essentially a blanket draped over, it's like a fort, like a pillow fort basically, but with PVC and moving blankets. Or you could really go whole hog and build one with, plywood and wood and insulation and all of that stuff. But there's um, step-by-step tutorials on all of these on YouTube. And they even tell you what you need to buy, where to get it in most cases, and they walk you through step by step and how they made them. So YouTube, long story short, is a great place to go for just about anything that you need to figure out. Beth says, what software do you use for live streaming? This is StreamYard. And I've been very happy with it so far. I've been using it for a couple of months now, I think. It's very cool. I mean, I don't have the free version because I wanted to be able to take their logo off and have I think the showing of the comments on screen, I think that was also with the package that I bought. But it's very, very cool. I've been very happy with it because you can also add like tickers like this that run across the bottom, which is pretty cool. I can change the colors and the background and the logo placement and share my screen like I just did. Let me just do that again because I can share it. Do I have to take the comment off the screen? Oh, I have to add it. Okay, so you can share the screen this way, this way, this way, this way, or I can have guests on. I don't have any guests on now, but it would put us side by side. So it's pretty cool software. I really like it. Okay, so we've been on for over an hour, just about, and I got a lot of comments to get through. So let me just see if I can get through because I don't want to leave you guys. Holy Moses. Oh my goodness, we have a lot of comments in here to get through. Where did I leave off? It was Beth. Oh my goodness, I'm sorry, guys. JJJ says, might consider a rubber squeaky toy, 2 birds, 1 stone, stress ball and noisy to make an audio mark. I actually know somebody who used a dog squeaky toy for their clicker. Sarah says that at Jazzy Jasmine, I'm sure there are plenty of tutorials and resources on YouTube too. There are tons. Robert says jasmine white rice. Oh, I love jasmine rice. Love jasmine rice. VoiceOver Van Deen says $3.97 US on Amazon. Just search the phrase dog clicker finger strap, and you'll never drop it again. Plus, they're bright purple and green. Dude, I like that. Dog clicker finger strap. So you're not messing with it and making noise or dropping it like some people do. JJJ says basmati rice. Oh, yeah. You guys are making me hungry. Stop it. Robert says 15-minute story. Oh, yes. Salty stories. Salty stories? Salty stories? Salty stories. Horror stories. Not salty stories. Tiffany's 80s Dream says, what video equipment would I initially need to make my samples and demo? You need a microphone. You need a computer. You need a DAW, which is your digital audio workstation. And there are lots of those to choose from. And you need headphones, probably. At least something to listen back to the recording on. And then you need to learn your DAW so you know how to make a demo. I have a lot of videos here on my channel where I walk you through various aspects of these, like what equipment you need, what to do with them once you have them, basically. I have a lot of videos here on my channel that walk through all of these. But I have to get through these quickly because I've got places to be. I gotta go. So I'm gonna get through these. Louis says Robert Palmore. Heck yeah. The salty stories. James Park says, I'd like to take this opportunity to distance myself from Robert Palmore. Guys. MJ Rod says, prefer PNR, but opening and closing my closet every time I need to punch is too noisy and such a hassle. May need to connect the computer to something more mobile, maybe iPad, phone, or something. Or you could also get a keyboard and mouse that are Bluetooth. That's what I did. I have a Logitech trackball mouse, a Logitech trackball mouse, and a Logitech Wave keyboard. And the great thing about these Logitech pieces is that even though they're independent pieces, you can run them both off of one USB that's Bluetooth. So I have one slot of USB taken up on my computer, no wires, no cords, that run both the both the mouse and the keyboard on just the one USB connector. So for you could have them in your studio, but still connected to your computer via Bluetooth. So you wouldn't have to open and close your door. That might help. Robert Palmore says, I had a real bad concussion and my sense of smell was diminished a lot for quite a while. Guess smelling something that is burning might be from some neurological thing. I don't know. For me, I never experienced it before until I had COVID. But luckily it's gone away quite a bit. So I'm hoping it's not a neurological thing. Robert Palmore says more drywall would be better than a high-priced audio booth. That's true. That's true. Louis says, "Nah, Robert Palmer, horror, not salty." Okay, okay, as long as they're spooky and suspenseful. Oh my god, you guys, okay, just not good. I developed a sinus infection in 1975, had it treated by doctors at least 3 times. Stopped bothering them if they are not going to fix it. Use chewable vitamin C and throat is clear to record. Chewable vitamin C. I haven't tried that for clearing the throat. What I have tried, and I've mentioned this before, but this fire cider I use also for the same reasons because I have that, that stuff. So, and that has definitely helped to sort of clear that out. I don't know what a good way to explain it. I guess you know what I'm talking about. Diane says, "I'm lucky I have the opportunity to build in a soundproofed closet with full decoupling when we renovate the back porch into my office. That is cool. You are lucky. I'm stuck in this little townhouse. I don't have a yard. I have no room to expand or really do anything. Jelly. That's cool. You have to send us some pictures when you're done." Robert Palmer says, Louis. Kirk says, regarding drips and sinus icks, AZ is one state I've been to several times where the moment I cross the border, my allergies kick up to 11. I have friends who live there that tell me this is the thing. Yeah, it's not valley fever, but it's the same. There's a lot of weird pollens and such out here that cause problems. And I have to tell you that I haven't really had any issues because I've lived here for about 22 years now here in Arizona, and I haven't had any issues with my sinuses until after I had COVID. So I don't think the pollens and such out here affected me until I had the COVID thing. And now it's my allergies go nuts whenever the wind's blowing. Blame COVID. James Park says, MJ, I bought a small video monitor and wireless keyboard so I can keep my laptop outside the recording closet and booth. That is great advice, too. That's something else that you could do. Carlos VoiceOver says, I used to do the clicker method, but it ended up being too time consuming for me. So now I'm using Punch and Roll in Audition. And if I have to do post, I use Reaper, better for plugins, in my opinion. Good God, what's wrong with me? Where's my coffee? Yeah, not everybody likes the clicker method, and that's fine. You just choose whichever one or a combination of the two that works best for you. At least you have options, right? Okay, Tiffany says, also, if I want to learn all of this, where would I start in terms of what you offer? Everything you were talking about is going over my head. I'm sorry, Tiffany. That's not my intention. I apologize. Um, on my website, I have a few different options. I have a Facebook group where there's a lot of other voice actors where you can post your demos and things of that nature. If you want to work with me directly, I have one-on-one sessions where you have me for a half an hour. You just ask me questions. I can walk you through setting up stuff, whatever it is that you need my help with. And then I also have what I call my platinum group. We meet every week. And then with that membership, also you get practice scripts and challenges and my blog and ebooks and resource like planners and budget guides and things of that nature. But then we meet as a group every week, which I think is the coolest aspect. So you would meet in a group session or a group environment if that's what you prefer. I have courses if you prefer to learn on your own. And then I also have a mentorship program where if you prefer to meet with someone on a regular basis once a week, to kind of keep up with your progression, or if this is like a long thing that I need to help walk you through and touch base with you once a week, I have those as well. But if you go to my website, voiceoverangela.com, there's a few different ways on there that we can work together depending on what you're most comfortable with. So, and again, I apologize if it's going over your head. That's not my intention. I need to slow down, but I've got a lot of comments to get through. Diane says, I fixed sound floor by adding a moving blanket folded in half to the floor and another same way to the ceiling. The moving blankets are great for reducing a reverb and echo and kind of trying to get your noise floor under control. Ben Cross says, there is a toggle on the record button in Reaper for punch and roll, just like Audition. Select where you want to punch in and record. It mutes your current take and lets you punch in at the selection. That's perfect. Thank you, Ben, for letting us know that. So it does have a punch and roll function, much like Audition and Audacity, right? If anybody else has another DAW that offers the punch and roll feature, let us know. Diane says, Bragg's raw apple cider vinegar. Yes, both. Oh, that's what AC. God, I feel like such a dork. Okay, Bragg's ACV is apple cider vinegar. Okay, which is pretty much what I'm doing with the fire cider. Okay. Robert Palmer says, Bragg's is apple cider vinegar in a capsule, less pucker face. Oh. But so you would get the benefits of the apple cider vinegar, but you wouldn't get the cleansing of the throat and mouth with it, though, I think. Oops. Thanks, Ben. James says, thanks, Ben. I just switched from Reaper to Audacity, so I'm still learning all the tricks. Interesting. Why would you switch from Reaper to Audacity? That's the first time I've heard that. Is there a good, I'm sure there has to be a good reason for that. Was it because it's free? But with Reaper, it's a one-time fee, isn't it? That's interesting. Why would you switch from Reaper to Audacity? I'm not saying Audacity's bad or Reaper's bad. I'm just curious. I haven't heard that before. True Crime with VO Max says, Valencia. That's awesome. I loved living there, right on the ocean or the sea. I loved it for 15 years. Wow. I lived there in 99 and 2000, right around there, right before I moved to Arizona. I built the aquarium there in Valencia. JJJ says, my family is from Lorca. Oh, that's cool. So born and raised, yeah? James Park says, Tiffany's 80s Dream. Check out Angela's channel here on YouTube. Also, Booth Junkie and Crown Stag Voiceover are great channels for beginners. Lots of great info. Yes, and also I'd like to add to that Anthony Pica's YouTube channel, A VO's Journey. He's got a lot of great information on there too. And then I can never remember the name. There's Richard. Oh boy, I'm going to have to look it up. But there's a Richard who does a lot of great stuff with Adobe Audition, if you have Adobe Audition. And then what was the other one? VO Tech Guru is Tim Tippett. He's an audio engineer and a voiceover artist. He has a lot of good stuff there too. A lot of great YouTube channels with good information. But thank you for that. Thank you for that plug. Diane says, at Robert Palmore, I put mine in my favorite tea with cinnamon and orange. No mouth pucker. I trust that more than pills. Interesting. I've never thought about mixing the apple cider vinegar with liquid, like with tea or something else. I might have to try that. Robert says, I learned to take ACV straight and suffer the pucker face. I don't mind the pucker face. And the pucker face is pretty extreme with the fire cider because there's habanero in there too. But I like the heat. I'm a spicy food addict. So I like the fire cider. Robert says, I was almost being naughty with the vagina. I know you were. JJJ says, if you could only pick one, would you buy a better mic or Isotopes RX9? I think I would Isotope, I think, because there is a mouth declick plugin in there that is absolute gold for removing mouth noise. And then also with most of those Isotope bundles, you also have a de-reverb, you also have a de-plosive, and a handful of others that are just worth their weight. So I think if you could only choose one or the other at this time, I would go with the Isotope plugins. Because, a mic is a mic is a mic, even a $50 mic versus a $3,600 mic, it's still going to make your space sound even better, or even worse rather, with a higher priced mic. So having plugins, I think, that help um, to reduce some of the noise and natural, you know, issues that we face as voice actors, having plugins that address those would probably be a better investment at the moment. I hope that makes sense. I sort of derailed in the middle. Kirk says, "Don't forget to like Angela's video. The algorithm gods will thank you, as will Angela." Yes, please like the video. I would appreciate it if you did it. It does. It tickles my algorithm, as it said. Thank you so much, Kirk. Robert says, "Who is Mrs. Poe's husband's name? Mr. Rich?" Robert Palmer says, "Hey, it's family friendly." Oh my gosh. You are a character. Brittany says, "I'm saving up for RX9. A better mic would just pick up my mouth noise even better." It's exactly what I was talking about. A better mic would just make your bad sounding room sound even worse. So I think isotopes would be a great investment. Robert says, "I'm so surprised you didn't get my joke about noise floor carpeting. You know me better than that. Would you stop it?" The Jazzy Jasmine says, "At Sarah K12, thank you. I've done a ton of YouTube research. Still need help though." Yeah, we do. I mean, there's a lot of information, and especially if you're not unfamiliar with some of the lingo and jargon that's being used, then it takes a little bit longer to discover what those meanings are and how they fit into the world of voiceover. So I try to explain things as simply as I can, but sometimes I forget that sometimes not everybody knows what the heck I'm talking about. So if you have questions about what it is that I'm talking about, or to define a term that maybe you're unfamiliar with, go ahead and ask. I'll be more than happy to explain it. Whoops. Don says, "Thank you very much for your response." I'm glad to help, and I'm sorry if I go over your head a little bit. Not just with, anybody watching. Danelle says, "Start with RX elements, then look for upgrade to standard sale later. I got both for 110 total." That is a great idea. If you go to Isotope RX9 and you purchase the elements package, which is the base bundle, right? And then once you're part of the Isotope community, then they will send you intermittently, they will send you offers to upgrade to a standard, which is the middle package, or advanced, which is the bigger package. And you could generally save money doing it that way instead of just outright buying a bigger package up front. Thank you for mentioning that. That's I forgot about that. David says, "Gotta go. Take care of yourself." Thank you, David. Thank you for watching. We'll catch you next time. Masonry Construction says, "Demos, auditions, and scripts." Everyone has access to thousands of audition requests on ACX. Record to your heart's content, download the files you like. Goodness, and save them to your desktop. Zero cost. There's scripts and copy to use just about everywhere. Every commercial that you hear or see can be used as script fodder, right? You can create your own scripts just by using the same verbiage that you hear every day in commercials. Right? So, there's nothing wrong with writing your own too. James says, "My new wireless keyboard just arrived. I can't wait to try it out. I love mine. It was a great investment." Just Not Good says, "Sound booth. I first moved my PC around the corner and strung cables, built a cabinet around PC with insulation, then blankets on a wood frame." That sounds very similar to my setup. My PC is outside my booth, so I have all these extra long cables that run under the door. So I keep the noise outside my recording space. Very clever. Brittany says, "At Danelle, wow, that is an incredible deal. Thanks for the tip." That is a great tip. It's a very good idea. Diane says, "Udemy is a great source for courses. Just took a great one for Audacity for ACX, taking his Audacity boot camp next." Yeah, I totally forget about Udemy all the time. That is a great place to find courses on just about anything, and that's expanding all the time. Although, keep in mind with Udemy, anybody can create a course. Anybody. Anybody. I can jump on there and submit a course about something. So again, that would be another opportunity for you to take everything you see and hear, soak it all in, and then make your own decisions about what works best for you. I'm not discrediting anybody on Udemy. I'm just saying there's no real vetting process for information and the resources of where this information comes from. Sort of like Wikipedia. Again, I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying grain of salt. Robert Palmore says, for folks just starting anything, VO included, there is so much information on YouTube, great resource for many things. Yeah, YouTube has been huge for me and my business. Absolutely. Beth says, in the future, you might want to have folks type question, all caps, before posting a question. It's a good idea. Then you can scroll through on a live, can skip the chatty comments and go straight for the questions. I could, but I think I don't want to skip the chatty questions because this is a community. I've always felt that this is a community here and everybody enjoys, I think anyway, being here and chatting with each other. And I like to highlight everybody, not just questions, but you're right. I mean, they should. That'd make it easier to find just the questions. Andy B says, jambalaya. Sounds good too. I'm getting hungry. Goldie's Adventures After 50. How long did your learning curve take on editing and processing? I posted my first poem on LibriVox. It took me a few hours to edit, and it does in the beginning. It takes a long time to figure out the editing process. You're learning your DAW, you're learning how to record, you're learning what everything means, you're learning what it is that you're looking at and how to work with it. It's a lot to learn. So editing in the very beginning does take some time. It's going to take a while, and it could be different for anybody to learn how to edit and then start to streamline your process. I think it took me a good year to get comfortable with my DAW and to streamline my process. And I still make tweaks to it all the time. Once I find out a new trick, a new shortcut, I, talk with an audio engineer and he gives me a tip and then I incorporate that into my process. There's a lot you're going to learn throughout the learning process and then incorporating all of that into a process that works for you. So it might take a while. But for editing in the very beginning, it does take a long time in the very beginning. So don't be too hard on yourself. It's completely normal. Completely normal. Jordan says, hey, Angela, what sites would you say are most important to upload to first? My mentor just helped me tremendously with my demo, and I want to put it out there, but not spread too thin. If you want to start small, I would start with a freelance marketplace. And I know there's a lot of veterans out there that would probably disagree with me, but if you're not at the stage where you feel that you're ready for an agent or for some of the pay to play sites where you need to have a little bit more experience and training to be on, freelance voiceover is probably going to be the way to get you at least started and making some income so you can start to invest in your business and training and equipment and all of that stuff. So places like Freelancer, Guru, Fiverr, Upwork, places that are free to have a profile on, and then they take a percentage of what you make, basically. So they get paid when you get paid. You're not paying a monthly fee or a yearly fee to be featured on their site. And some of those sites have the option to do that too, like Upwork, for example. But I think choosing a couple of those to start with is probably a good idea. That way you can be right on top of messages when you get them, because a lot of those, especially Fiverr, will time you on how quickly you respond to clients. So not spreading yourself too thin is actually a good point. It's something to be cognizant of in the beginning because you want to make sure that you start off on the right foot with these sites. So I would stick with maybe some of the freelancer sites to start. And then once you start to get rolling and making money and reinvest it into training, coaching, equipment, so on and so forth. Andy B says Arizona is not all dry heat with all the golf courses and watering of the greens. And the last week we've had just crazy nonstop monsoons. We had like over 2 inches fall within 15 minutes the other night. It was nuts, which made it muggy and humid. Jaka B says, "Hi, I'm late, but where is the best place to learn video editing for a novice, beginner, and easy?" YouTube. YouTube. I actually have at least one video that I can think of on my own channel where I discuss different types of free video editing software. But learning how to use whichever software you choose, YouTube is a great place to find tutorials on how to use them. But YouTube is the best place for learning how to do just about anything. Diane says, at James Park, I switched from Reaper to Audacity 2. Much more user-friendly. I was struggling with Reaper. Interesting. Okay, so Audacity is more user-friendly, easier to use than Audacity. Interesting. Hi, Corey. Hello, Angela. Quick question. I wrote a book and I got it published, but now I want to turn it into an audiobook. Does ACX allow me as an author to narrate my own book? And should I? Yes. They do. You can narrate your own book, or you can find a narrator to narrate it for you. I find that, especially if it's if it's written about yourself, if it's like an autobiography or something that you've experienced, I find there's a personal connection that comes through from the author to the reader when they narrate it themselves. I always enjoy hearing an author narrate their own book. So I think you should, if that's what you want to do. Goldie's Adventures After 50 says, I sing karaoke before I go. I do a packet of Propel mixed with 24 ounces of water and 1 tablespoon Bragg's apple cider vinegar, clears the mouth and hydrates. Interesting. James says 2 Reaper from Audacity. Oh. So it was the other way around. Not from Reaper to Audacity, but from Audacity to Reaper. Yeah. But hey, whatever your preference is, either way, if it's from Audacity to Reaper or Reaper to Audacity, whatever works best for you, right? Oh my goodness. I keep hitting the wrong button. Hit the like button, people. It really helps. Thank you, Michael. I appreciate that. Okay, I've really got to get going. So I'm gonna see if I can get through these last comments here. Diane says, Audacity has a declicker too, and thanks to the Udemy course, I have a macro with that, a limiter, etc., that I run that takes seconds to edit, and it's free. You can't beat free. You can't beat free. That's awesome. And Audacity has come a long way in the last few years. They've added quite a few nice little effects and features that weren't there before when I used it. So that's awesome. And it's still free. The Jazzy Jasmine says, really appreciate your responses, Angela. Thank you. Well, thank you for being here. I appreciate you being here. Robert says, don't worry one bit about being a newbie and not knowing all the jargon. We all started that way, and I'm still learning loads every day. Same. And I've been doing this for a little over 4 years now, and there's something new to learn every day. There still is. And in the very beginning, it all sounded like German to me. It was just all very foreign and none of it made sense, but you learn as you go. JJJ says, I've been practicing with famous quotes. More specifically, I search for different types that embody various levels of mood and emotions. I think that's a good idea. Ay, ay, ay. So we have some stuff. We're getting like spammed or something. Hold on. Let me get rid of some of these here. Let's report this guy. Hold on, guys. Report. Okay. Let's get rid of that. Can I report, remove, put? Okay, let's try that. Can I remove these? Yeah, okay, good. It looks like I was able to. Sorry about that, guys. We had someone in here spamming. Okay. Tiffany's 80s Dream says, I'm starting to think VO would be applicable to UGC content creation, possibly. What is UGC? I'm not down with all the acronyms. What is UGC? What am I missing? Diane says, you need to appoint some moderators to get rid of spam like this that just came in. Yeah, I have no moderators, but I do need to probably do something in the future with that. You're right. Louis says, please help Angela's channel by reporting spam and inappropriate messages. Thank you. Yes. Thank you, Louis. If you guys, and you should have the ability to do it. If you see something like that comes through and I don't see it because it's way down at the bottom where I can't see it yet, then please help me out and report it. That would be fabulous. JJJ says I reported the bot. Thank you. Thank you guys for that. Kirk says, regarding Corey's question, you would need to set up an author's profile and a narrator's account to do your own book on ACX. I don't know that you can have both. I think you can only have one profile on ACX, but you might want to reach out to ACX and ask them if there is an appropriate way to do that. My understanding with the authors that self-narrate that I've worked with have never said that there was a different process, that they signed up as an author to list their book, and then they were able to narrate it and upload their own. But there might have been a step that they didn't share. So I would definitely reach out as an author to ACX and ask those questions. How do I set up my profile so I can do this, so I can narrate my own book? Goldie's Adventures After 50 says, thank you. Also, your suggestion to volunteer with LibriVox was priceless. The community forums are wonderful resources as well. They are. And I love LibriVox for not only giving back and practicing, paying it forward. It's all good stuff. I mean, it's all good causes. Louis says, thanks, JJJ. Louis says, me too. Louis and JJJ, you guys can be moderators if you want. Any of you have the power to report stuff like that. So if you see that stuff come through and I don't see it, please report it. I don't want that kind of stuff in here. JJJ says ACV with lemon throat coat is good too. Oh, throat coat tea? I didn't think of that. Carlos VoiceOver says the problem with newer versions of Audacity is now basically spyware. I'd rather buy my DAW, take it as an investment. The newer versions of Audacity, basically spyware. In what way? Piqued my interest. Robert says, ditto, reported. Thank you, guys. VoiceOver Van Deen says, reported every bot post, some as adult, some as commercial spam. Thank you. You guys rock. Diane says that Carlos VoiceOver spyware. I haven't had an issue with it yet. Yeah. I would like to know more about, could you elaborate on that comment? The spyware comment? Robert Palmore says, maybe not a good idea to make me a moderator. I'm not very moderate. Carlos VoiceOver says that Diane Jarecki read their latest privacy policy. It now collects a lot of data it shouldn't, and they might sell it to to third parties. Oh, it's unfortunate that most of the companies do that anymore. You really need to read through their privacy policies. But I think a lot of even social media platforms and stuff like that, they all do it in some respect. It's kind of scary. JJJ says, your videos about scams on ACX are awesome. Thank you. Is that still prevalent? Yes. Yes. Is there a similar issue on Fiverr to look out for? Anywhere that you make yourself available online, just like these bots that invaded my live, you're opening yourself to the possibility of scammers, spammers, ne'er-do-wells. So you just have to use common sense. You have to ask questions. You have to know what questions to ask. And I think I go through all of that on the videos here on my channel on what questions to ask on pay to play platforms, and also ACX, because knowing how to spot them is definitely going to help you, but it's never going to be preventable. They're going to be there no matter where you are. If you make yourself available to people, they're going to find their way in. Diane says, Carlos voiceover. Ugh, I love it. I had tech issue with Reaper, so got rid of it. Tiffany's 80s Dream says, UGC is user-generated content, videos that sell products. Oh, yes, absolutely. There's a lot of that for social media content. James says, I have to say goodbye for now. Bye. Yeah, we're going to wrap up here too, but I'll be back next time. Fabulous. Okay, Carlos, you're the last comment and I have to go. Just be sure to opt out of any automatic updates when installing Audacity, and I think you're good to go. Good point. So you have to review every update and read what the review or read what the update is before you accept it. You guys. Okay, a couple more. I can't leave you guys hanging. Carlos says, if you're tech savvy, you could compile it from the source code and you won't have an issue. No, completely over my head. Kirk says, got to get back to the booth. Have a great rest of the day. Bye, Kirk. See you Thursday. Beth says, Audacity collects no more info than Facebook, Instagram, and most of the apps on your phone. And again, that's pretty typical. That's pretty typical for most of these apps anywhere, because they want to share your data, which is just sad. Or sell it, which is bad. But anyway. All right, guys, I have got to go. So thank you, everybody here, for joining today. I really appreciate you. I will see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel, Tuesday, 12 p.m. EST. And I will see you then. Bye.